beat drops, you know exactly what time it is. Hello and welcome into the Blitz. I am Evan Closky, and I hope you all have enjoyed your holiday week. I know David Shealy is, which is why he's not working the show. We have a lot to discuss as Baker is banged up. Bucky Irving is coming back. What the heck is going on with the defense? Plus, our predictions and parlay of the week. So let's get started. As this is the 10 and 10, the 10 most important topics you need to know before the Buccaneers take on the Arizona Cardinals from Raymond James Stadium. This will actually be the third home game in Tampa since the start of October. Also, a 3-game losing streak has to be snapped by someone this weekend, as both squads have lost 3 in a row. The Bucs and Cards are tied all-time in this series with 11 wins apiece. Arizona has been without its starting quarterback Kyler Murray since Week 5, and while there's an argument to be said that Jacoby Brissett should be the starter anyway, the team is 1-5 under Brissett. The squad has also lost 8 of its last 9 games. As for the Buccaneers, all eyes are on Baker Mayfield, who left Sunday Night Football in a sling after a shoulder sprain. Now, even though this is the same shoulder he hurt with the Browns, Baker made it clear this week the 2 injuries are not even close to being similar. So at number 9, let's talk about QB1, who looks like he will suit up this weekend against the Cardinals. Baker Mayfield has started every game for the team since coming in 2023, but he has battled injuries with Tampa Bay before. He just usually guts right through them, which was the case before the bye week. We all remember that. Baker talked about the decision-making process to play earlier in the week.
You know, if I sit one game out and that provides me to be healthier for down the stretch, then that's how I'm going to look at it. And I have to be smart with that, understanding that, you know, our sights are still set on the playoffs, but to get there we have to win these games, and especially the NFC matchups. And so, got to look at it that way. And it's kind of a double-edged sword, but we'll see how it goes.
And let me say this about Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know if he's a viable backup in this league, but let it be known that he was at a funeral last weekend paying his respects to his mentor, flew into LA Sunday morning and got thrust into a game with that game plan in no way, shape, or form built around his skill sets. I wouldn't put too much stock in what we saw in that second half against the Rams, and at least this week he did get some first-team reps, which could be helpful down the road if the team needs him. And number 8, the reason why Baker Mayfield is trying to look at the big picture with playing this weekend is because the Buccaneers are still atop the NFC South standings, and they control their own destiny even if Tampa Bay loses and Carolina pulls off the upset against the LA Rams this weekend. And here's another thing to think about. Entering the week, Tampa Bay had the easiest schedule remaining in the NFL. At this point, they have no one with a winning record left to play. They also have 4 of their final 6 games inside Raymond James Stadium. As for the Carolina Panthers, they have the 9th hardest schedule remaining. They get to face the Saints once, and that's the only squad with a sub-500 record. Tampa Bay is still in a very good spot, and that's because at number 7 will be back on the field. The Buccaneers are starting to get a bit healthier, and that begins with Bucky Irving playing in his first contest since Week 4. Bucky spoke with the media for the first time this week, saying there were too many people to thank for helping him get through the mental hurdles with that shoulder and foot injury. He feels healthy and ready to roll. Just like James Yarko of the Locked On Bucs podcast, joining us now for the burning question of the week. And James, Josh Grizzard said they're going to have to ease Bucky back into fold. But how does he change what we have seen from this offense recently?
I think what Bucky brings is a different level of explosiveness that this offense just has not had. You're missing all these wide receivers. You're relying on a first-round pick to be your number 1 guy. And then in the backfield, you have Rachaad White. You have Sean Tucker, who have been serviceable. They've been solid, but they don't have that second and third gear that Bucky Irving has. You're talking about a guy that has more than 50% of his career rushing yards coming after contact. He's elusive, he's quicker, and he is a big play waiting to happen at any given moment. The addition of Bucky coming back to this offense is going to open things up for Josh Grizzard just a little bit more, because you have the threat of him out of the backfield. But we also saw in the last game that he played, you have a massive threat out of the backfield in the passing game. And that's just not something that this offense has seen over the course of the last couple of months. Does it fix everything? No, absolutely not. But it does add a new layer to this offense to make them just a little bit more dangerous and a little bit more explosive.
Thank you so much, James. And this team is getting healthier. We saw Hassan Reddick back at practice this week. Ben Bredesen, Jamel Dean looks like he's suiting up Sunday. The Cavalry is coming back. At number 6, I don't even know if the Cavalry is enough based on what we have seen out of this defense the last 3 games. Todd Bowles' group has allowed a total of 106 points, and that's with Sean McVay pulling off the gas pedal in the second half last week. It's one of the worst 3-game stretches of Todd Bowles' career. His goal is to hold opponents to 17 points or fewer. Tampa Bay has done that once this season. So at number 5, the Boo Birds are back out for Todd Bowles, and it's the annual occurrence because every Bucs team under his guidance has had at least a 3-game losing streak. In fact, it has happened every year he's been a head coach except his first season with the Jets. That team just lost 4 or 5 games in the middle of the year. Baker Mayfield hears the chatter, and this was his message about what the talk is inside the locker room about that.
We stay true to who we are. Obviously, the last few games haven't gone the way we wanted it. We know that. It's not like we're trying to fake it otherwise, but we know that we still control our own destiny here down the stretch, and that's the most important part. So we have 3 home games coming up that we need to take care of.
Look, if the Buccaneers need some help getting after the passer, I know a guy who still looks like he can put up double-digit sacks. Simeon Rice is back in town, and he will become the 16th member of the franchise's Ring of Honor. At number 4, Simeon was a critical piece on one of the best defenses the NFL has ever seen. From 2001 to 2006, Sim totaled 69.5 sacks for Tampa Bay, along with a ridiculous 25 forced fumbles. Factor in 250 tackles, 67 TFLs, 37 passes defended, and 4 interceptions, and you have quite the disruptive force on the defensive line. Only Leroy Selman and Warren Sapp have more sacks than Sim in Buccaneers history, though those two played in Tampa Bay 9 years. Sim was just 6. Simeon Rice was also not a semifinalist for the Hall of Fame again this season, and it's a bunch of garbage from 1998 to 2005. So we're talking about a span of 8 seasons. Rice led the league in sacks with more than 100. Since the sack became an official statistic in 1982, every single player who has led the NFL in sacks during an 8-year time frame and eligible for the Hall of Fame already has a gold jacket. Only 4 players in the history of the game have a better 4-year peak than this man. Sim still ranks 22nd all-time in sacks, 15 names ahead of him in the Hall of Fame, and 2 of them are active. Of the other 4 guys, they played in the league for at least 14 years. Sim did all of this in 12, and that's with his final 2 years totaling 3 sacks. And that's nothing against longevity, because in football, I respect that, and it will be a large portion of Levante David's case. But it exemplified his dominance over a decade of football. He's a Super Bowl champion, a big-time performer. In 7 career playoff games, he had 7 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 3 TFLs. People use John Lynch, Rondé Barber, Warren Sapp, and Derek Brooks against him. But ask any of those guys how important he was to the overall operation. He took a great defense and turned it into one of the greatest of all time. One day he's going to get his knock, but sadly, he's got a long way to go. At number 3, Jacoby Brissett is set to start against the Buccaneers, according to Greg Allman of Fox Sports. Brissett will become the 3rd QB ever to start against Tampa Bay wearing 4 different uniforms. The Cardinals have unlocked the aerial attack under Brissett, which could be a problem for the Bucs as they rank 27th in passing defense. While Brissett is averaging north of 310 passing yards this year, the man eats a ton of sacks, totaling 24 in his 6 starts. At number 2, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a threat. Michael Wilson is a threat. But the guy you need to circle and star entering this contest is Trey McBride. He leads all tight ends in receptions and receiving yards. He is also hunting Travis Kelce's all-time record at 15 consecutive games with 5+ receptions. McBride comes to Tampa at 13. Larry Foote is well aware of this guy, and they need to limit him.
85. He is a weapon. 85. I remember a couple years ago, a lot of people on the offense side were buzzing about him in the draft. We didn't get him, but 85. He's a weapon. And, guys started arguing who's better, him or the kid from Vegas. But he's special. He can move like a wide receiver, being that big.
At number 1, the Bucs hosted their 19th Turkey Time with the O-line this week, supplying Thanksgiving Day meals to local families. The O-line and its coaches provided more than 1,000 meals this holiday season. And if we go back to 2007, when this all started, the Bucs have supplied more than 15,000 families with food for the holiday. We love this Tampa Bay tradition. Time now for the all-out blitz, and we're going to start with our parlay of the week, which crumbled as badly as the Buccaneers last week. I'm going to go Trey McBride over his yards. The Bucs have been solid against tight ends this year, but McBride is a different cat, as we just heard. David told me he wanted Tez for an anytime touchdown, and we both agreed on Bucky. And look, he's not going to get the lion's share of the carries, but he can get 30 at 8.5 on like 10 of them. So we're going to ride with him. As for what we got cooking right here on 10 Tampa Bay, at 1 o'clock, the Houston Texans will take on the Indianapolis Colts in a great AFC matchup. Then at 4:25, we got another doozy with the Bills heading on the road to take on Pittsburgh, where it looks like Aaron Rodgers is going to play in that contest. Checking out our Blitz picks records. David and I both went LA last week, so now I am 8-3, and David is nearing 500 with his 5-6 record. I'm going to start off. I'm the only one to go with my prediction in this game. Arizona is 3-8. All but 3 of those games have been decided by one score. In those 8 losses, 6 were by 4 or less points. With the Bucs defense as bad as it is right now, I see this as another nail-biter. I got the Bucs winning 26-24. David also has Tampa Bay winning, but by a bit better margin, 24-17. Thank you so much for joining us on The Blitz. I hope you all had a great holiday week. For David Shealy at home with the family, I am Evan Closky. This is The Blitz. See you same time or same place next weekend.